And the military now understands this intense need for local knowledge and dealing with the situation as they find it. And I think it's, at this point, it's a lot of the critics of the military and those who are very pessimistic and gloomy about the prospects of military success who tend to resort to these kind of knee-jerk analogies about this will be another Vietnam, where in fact, the differences are so vast and they hardly need to be laid out. I think George did a good job of laying out a number of them just in his introduction about the fact, Vietnam was such an unusual case because you had this country, North Vietnam, backed by two superpowers in China and the Soviet Union, which basically dedicated its entire country, everything it had, all of its people, to conquering the South over the course of essentially 20 years. That's not a situation which you're going to find in too many other places. You certainly don't find it in Afghanistan, where, yes, of course, there are cross-border havens, and that's an issue, but the level of Pakistani support for the Taliban pales by comparison with what the government of North Vietnam did for the Viet Cong, and there's not infiltration of regular Pakistani army units into Afghanistan the way there was with North Vietnamese formations going south along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Mullah Omar does not enjoy the level of popular esteem and international legitimacy that Ho Chi Minh did. And if you look at the public opinion polls, only about 4% of the people of Afghanistan say they want to be ruled by the Taliban. So there's no way you can suggest that the Taliban enjoy anywhere close to the popular legitimacy that the Viet Cong had. And on and on and on. I mean, there's a million differences. We don't even need to specify all of them because they're obvious. I think all that said, I think there are some legitimate lessons you can draw from Vietnam as you draw from other wars. Rufus just listed a number of them, which I think are very wise. I mean, basically, I think it comes down to the need for sound, population-centric counterinsurgency tactics, which the U.S. Army and Marine Corps have belatedly learned to use in places like Afghanistan, as opposed to kind of the big unit conventional tactics that General Westmoreland employed in Vietnam, and which the U.S. military employed in Iraq in the early years of that war. And there's some broader lessons which are taught not only by Vietnam but by many other insurgencies about how even a relatively small opponent, if they have great willpower, can outlast and defeat even a much mightier opponent which lacks that kind of willpower. I think those are the kind of things that we need to keep in mind. But I would hope that we don't use the Vietnam analogy in kind of a knee-jerk way to say, this military involvement is doomed because it's going to be another Vietnam. In fact, there are not going to be any more Vietnams. It was a very unusual circumstance. That's not to say we're never going to lose, but even if we lose, as I say, it's not going to be, quote, another Vietnam.